as I was enjoying the blossoms that are on the trees, I was reminded that it's not too long from now that the peach trees are in blossom. And if we don't get any freezing weather, we should have a good peach crop. And I thought fondly back a number of years ago when C.W. Farrer was the pastor at First Baptist Church of Landrum. We would come up on vacation and he and I would chat about the ministry because I was studying for the ministry and because he always took all of the ministerial students under his wings. And I remember how he would invite me to go into a field just outside of Landrum where there was peach trees, a whole peach orchard. And one of the members of the church had owned this peach orchard and had told CW that after the commercial picking was done that he could go through and glean the fields. That is, whatever peaches the people had missed when they were picking commercially, CW could have all he wanted. And he would take me with him. And I remember some of those peaches were bigger than both of my fists put together. They were just so large and they had tree ripened and they were just so juicy and good. And many times I would eat my fill of peaches rather than put them in the bag, and the juice would just run down my arm. Well, it reminded me of Proverbs 12 in verse 10 and 11. It says, "A righteous man has regard for the life of his animal, but even the compassion of the wicked is cruel. He who tills his land will have plenty of bread, but he who pursues worthless things lacks sense." Now, you say, well, that doesn't have much to do with peaches. Well, I particularly included verse 10 because I really have been turned off by people that are so abusive to animals, dogs and cats. And I just threw that in because I think there's a good Bible text that tells us that we should be kind to animals and not treat them cruelly. But the verse 11 is what I really wanted to key in on, which is, "He who tills land will have plenty of bread, but he that pursues worthless things lacks sense." I know that most of us are not farmers. I'm not a farmer, and probably you're not a farmer. But if we are prudent to take care of the things that we have and work with those things that we have, we'll have plenty. And that means even in retirement, ministering and working with our investments so that we're good stewards of all God's entrusted us to. If it's a person that's working a job right now, it means working as unto the Lord and doing the best that he can at the job that he has. But it's interesting because I looked at my Bible and it had a footnote over to Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 19 through 22. And it talks about in the time of harvest that when you shake the tree for figs or for one of the fruits that might grow on a tree, that you don't go back and get the stuff that didn't fall off. You leave it there for others. And it talks about the olive trees and letting orphans and aliens, and those are not illegal aliens, those are sojourners through the land, to have what you didn't pick commercially. And that's what reminded me of C.W. Ferris going through the peach orchard with me. Well, how does that apply to us again today? Because we're not farmers. Well, when we have an abundance, when we have more than what we really need, we're supposed to share it with those that are less fortunate. We're supposed to choose our charities carefully. We're supposed to remember to help family members and others with the abundance that we have and not be so greedy that we have to keep every last fig that's on the tree. And so today I want to just talk to you about stewardship, the fact that we need to be good stewards. We need to be good stewards of the things that we have, including our animals. We need to be sure that we work at what we do, whether we're retired or still working. We need to be good stewards of what we have, and we need to continue to work within those investments to make sure that we are good stewards of those. And then we need to be sure that when we have an abundance, when we have more than what we need, that we're to share that. Now, I believe the tithe comes right off the top. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm talking about above and beyond the tithe. I'm talking about doing that little extra kindness of giving somebody something. Not too long ago, we were eating in a restaurant, and when I was looking for the bill, the waitress came by and I said, "Could I have the bill, please?" And she said, "There is none. Somebody has already picked up your lunch." Turns out a lady across the room had seen us at church that day, and it was the first day we had attended that church. And she had made it a point to treat us to dinner. Now, we didn't need it. We had an abundance already. But that's not the point. The point was that she wanted to be nice. And from her abundance, she reached out to us. Now, I'm glad to say that we've had opportunities since then to repay her kindness and to purchase meal for her and for her family. But nevertheless, we are to take the abundance that we have and share it with others. It's the right thing to do. And certainly we can glorify God by being generous with what we have. And we can be good stewards by working in the fields that we have. That doesn't mean out in farming. That means working in the fields that we have, our investments, our job, to manage them well, to spend well, to be good stewards of all that God's entrusted us with so that we can share with others. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.